Just had this 2015 Highlander dropped off. Gonna be replacing the door. Got a new OEM door from Toyota. And I'm gonna replace this molding here, but you gotta buy it as a set. And I got lucky and found another set that somebody done this with. And they just needed, I think, the right rear or left rear piece. So I got 3 out of the 4, and this is included in it. So what I'll probably do, since I have this one, instead of wasting time putting tape back on this, I'll just pull this one off, stick the new one on that I've got, and maybe try to sell that other piece, or maybe both that I'll end up with. For right now, we're just gonna get this thing inside. Got 67,000 miles on it. They haven't had this car but just a few months, but this happened at a church event a few weeks ago, and I'm just now getting around to it. See you in just a second. I'm gonna start tearing. Okay, everything's got to come off. All I have is a shell back here. I've kept it covered just because I've been painting other parts in here. I'm gonna start by taking the trim panel off, just so that I've got access to get the glass out. I'm gonna take all the heavy parts out that I can, like the glass or regulator, speaker, and some other things, while I've got the door on the car, just so when I go to take it off, it's as light as it can be. That way I've got everything off. At least I'll have this off, all those heavy pieces out, and I won't have to run the glass up and down. Once I disconnect the connector in here and take the door off, I can't run the glass up and down to unbolt it. So I'm going to take that out for sure. Take the mirror off, so when I go to lay it on the rack or whatever later, that mirror won't be in the way and won't break it off or something. So I'll go ahead and get this off. I'm not going to film taking every little screw and clip off or whatever. I'll show you where everything is in case somebody needs to know, but I don't have the Toyota repair information on this. I'm just going to have to do this by experience, which is pretty normal or typical on everything anyway. They're all basically the same. As far as where the screws are, usually there's some in here, and this may have to pop up or take a little cover off here. Looks like there might be a little screw behind that little cover there, and then I'll start prying the side of it open to see if it pulls straight out or lifts up. I'll be back when I got that off and show you how it was attached and what was holding. Alright, it's off. It took maybe 5 minutes or so. There's a cover here. You just stick a flathead or pry tool behind here and pop this cover off. There's one screw in that hole. Behind that cover I popped out, it's captive. There's a screw. These are Phillips head screws. One in here. Pop the back of the window switch assembly there up, and then lift it off. Screw in that hole. And pull the top little sail panel cover off. Before I did this, 2 clips there. Just pops right out. And they actually give you an arrow right there showing you where to pull. There's a recess, little handle hole, and just pull out there, and it started to snap off. And that was pretty much it. Once I got that off, the 2 rods in the door handle back here had to come out. Just pull those out of these slots, and then pull them out of the little hole in the handle where they operate. And then unplug the light down here. And I left this connected. Some cars you disconnect this and it'll lose the window position memory for auto windows. So I just turned this sideways and slid it through the hole in the panel here, because I need that connected anyway to operate the window to get it out. So I'm just going to leave that there. When I go to put the panel back on, I'll work it back through the hole. That way it never gets disconnected. I'll probably I may have to disconnect the battery to swap this airbag sensor. But if I just disconnect it with the key off, it should be fine. And try to leave the battery connected so I don't have to reset anything that's in the car, if I can help it. I've got the latch here closed, and I've got this open back here so I can store the parts inside. I've got this latch closed so the lights aren't going to stay on much longer. But this will go in the back of the car, and I'll also probably have to pull this one off too, unless I can do everything with it in there. Some of these handles you can get out with leaving the panel on, but I do need to get this off, or at least lift it up. But I'll see how this comes off. I'll get this one off the front here or the back on this door, and then I'll know how these come off, and I can get this one off. I don't want to damage either one of them, I'm not replacing them. So I know this one has to come off for sure to transfer the new door to the new door, so I'll work on that and let it be my practice piece, and then I'll figure out how to get this one off. For right now, I'm going to go ahead and get out the glass, the speaker, probably the regulator, the mirror, anything that has any weight to it. And then I'll get that put in the new door after I get the door on there, just so the door is as light as it can be when I'm working on it. I'm getting it on at least. I got a lot of the rest of it off. I pulled the water shield off so I could get to the or get these cables out of the slot that's in there for that. Then I took the 2 bolts, ran the glass down about 2 right in here somewhere. This is an access hole for the glass. I took that plug out, got the bolt out of that, and then it ended up over here somewhere. Took that one out too. Pulled the glass out of the top, stuck it in the back of the car. Unbolted the regulator. There's a connector here for the motor. It all comes out together. Got a bolt there, 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 and there. That one can stay in it, and it just kind of holds it in place. So I just loosened that one, got the other 3 out, pull the regulator out of this hole. That's it right there. There were 2 other bolts right there in the door. They go right up here. That's for that upper slide. It goes like this. That was pretty simple. This just has 3 torque screws in the back of it and a connector just like this one goes through the door. So now that all that's out, I was trying to get the mirror off, but it's got a clip here that I don't want to break, and I may have to go in cut around this to get it out. I don't want to break that clip, or I could get the mirror off, but it's holding me up right there. So I'm trying to get that off now. Everything else I could take off when I get the door off. Just gonna have to transfer all these little grommets like this one, these 2. I don't think anything was actually in those holes, if I remember right. Might be for some other optional thing this doesn't have. There's some black rubber seals here that go on the clips, and I'll have to just pull those off. Some of these holes, like this one, have it. This one it's missing. These at the bottom, they might have come off with the clip. But I'll have to go back and make sure I just peel that off and put it back on the clip, because that's keeps it from rattling and buzzing, and also keeps it sealed. So I'll just have to check all the clips on the door panel and go back and take these off. I got some of the glue for the water seal still on here, so what I'll probably have to do is go through and pull this off, or either use some strip caulk to stick the shield back on. We got an interesting molding here at the bottom. It actually wraps around the door. It bolts in from the front, and this back piece is hinged, and it clips into the door. So this whole bottom part's just like a clamshell. It goes around the bottom hem flange. If you can see down in here, there's a stud with a nut on it right there in the center of the screen. So, and those white clips that are sticking out the other direction go in after. So once I pop those white clips through, this part here will fold open. Then I can get to those nuts that hold the whole piece on. And there's some tape. There's actually some double-sided tape right there I'll have to end up replacing. You can see it tore it away. Some kind of foam at least. But I'll have to reuse that part. Pretty much reusing everything except the door shell. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to get this clip out, get the mirror off, and a few other little things here and there. But I want to leave all the little small pieces in their holes, and I'll transfer those one by one so I don't get it mixed up or forget where they go. And since I've actually got the door jammed out already, but I'm going to show the video of that after getting this off, just so it'd be in normal order. I had to do that before he brought it over here, but I need to clean this hole out with a tap because there's paint in it, and this is a ground, appears to be a ground, and I did not protect that hole. I didn't know what bolted to it since I didn't have this door already, so I'll clean that out with a tap, make sure I got a good ground in the threads there, and anything else like that I run into, I'll do the same thing. But for right now, we're just going to go ahead and get the big pieces off, and I'll leave all the grommets in for now so I don't lose where they go. And get the door on, start transferring parts in it, and get it to where I can get it sealed enough to hold the door with the latch, and get the glass and all where I can mask it off to paint it. Okay, I've got all the wiring pulled. I'm trying to be careful with this airbag sensor here. I don't want to let it drop and hit the ground or anything. And I've got to talk over that music. I don't want to get up and turn it down, so I'm going to pull this wiring through the seal. The seal is actually put on after the wiring was run, surface mounted to the door. Got this big bracket that just bolts down to the door and comes around the corner here. There's no connector in the jamb. I pulled that out, no connector. It's just one long harness that comes out and surface mounts to the door with all these clips, and all the connectors go through either holes in the door or they run into the door. But nothing's nothing's here where I can disconnect it, so I'm just going to swing it into the car, but I got to pull it through the seal first, since the seal was put in on top of it. So I'm going to swing that through this hole here into the car, and the door will be free. Alright, I've got just about everything off. I got the bolt out of the check strap right there, and I stuck a screwdriver back through it. I had the door all the way open, and I stuck a screwdriver through this and the hole, then I pushed the door in to the first check, so this is not sticking out as far as it was to begin with. And I'll end up taking this off and transferring it when I get the other door up here. The hinge is actually designed to where it'll hold the door. It's got a stop built in right there. You can see that right in the area right there. It stops itself. It's not going to go open up in the fender or anything. So I took out the bolt, took out the bottom of the top hinge and the top of the bottom hinge, and then I ran the bolt out at the bottom all the way till it's almost out, and the same thing at the top. So now I'm going to take the bottom out of there. There's nothing it can fall on. There's no rocker underneath it. So I'm just going to take that one out and kind of steady the door and hold the weight up off of it, and take this bolt out and just pull the door away from the car and just set it down, and I can go ahead and get the other door put up here. Alright, here's the new door. Actually in a light green E-coat. Kind of expected black, but this is what I got straight from the dealer. I'm going to flip it over and paint the inside, and I've also got to paint, I'm going to go ahead and paint this window frame while I'm at it. Probably going to hang it off the rack so I can get to all of it at once. Do the inside. Just going to do all this at once. I'm just basically going to only leave the outer skin unpainted. So that'll be done with the other blend panels. I'm going to blend the fender and the back door with this, just to make sure I get a good match. I'll probably just to keep from getting too much overspray on this, I think I'm going to just tape it maybe an inch off the edge. That way I can get some overspray, but I don't get a line built up in it, and just cover this with paper or plastic while I'm doing the rest of it. But I can do that at the very end when I get ready to hang it on the rack and shoot it. I'd rather have it just laid flat so I don't have the rack, have this rack in the way when I'm trying to spray the inside. But if I can get enough standoff from the hook, from the pole to the hook, I've got enough room in there to shoot it. And that way I can do the outside window frame and the entire jamb at once, and not have to worry about flipping the door over. So what I could do is spray the color on this on the outside, flip it over, do all the color on the inside, but then I've got to put clear out here. So I'd have to pick the door up. If I flipped it back over to clear the outside of the window frame, I would then have to pick the door up, try to flip it with wet clear out here to do the inside. But I'd rather just have it hanging where I can do it all at one time. But I'm gonna get to sanding the jamb. I'm gonna flip it over first. Make sure I got the jamb sanded and everything, and I'll come back and do the outside of the window frame last. But I want to make sure I get the inside done. Then I'll hang it on the rack, and I can always sand the outside of the window frame with it hanging on the rack. But I want to get it to where I can get it on the rack first. Once I've got it on the rack, it'll be harder to sand the jamb on it. So I'm going to get busy on that, and I'll be back when I get ready to jam. All right, I'm going to be scuff sanding this entire surface, and everywhere I can't get that's like a nice deep pocket or something like that that's hard to get the scuff pad in, I'll use adhesion promoter, like on this part down in here. See, none of this is really ever going to get exposed. It's all going to get covered. You don't really have to worry about this area in here too much. We'll try to scuff it some, but it's not really a place I'm going to waste a whole lot of time. Mostly going to be, of course, the outer part you can see, but you also have to think about the area where the door seal is going to contact, like right in here. The seal is going to be pressed against the paint, so if it's not stuck and it sticks to the seal, especially on this side of the car that doesn't get opened as much, that seal can stick to that paint. Just pull it right off if you don't have good adhesion in here. So this area right here definitely needs to be sanded really well. Anywhere a seal is going to contact, like right along in here. And it's actually a piece of blackout tape. I've got both pieces of that too. It lays across this and wraps over this edge just to keep any reflections off from the painting surface in here. There's a longer piece that goes inside here, I'll just apply that whenever I get the car just about done. I don't want to put that on and then damage it trying to mount the door. So once I get the door on, get everything else in it, glass loaded and all that, we're just scratching that tape, I'll put it on later. So I'm gonna go ahead and just sand this, but I'm not gonna kill myself in here trying to sand it perfectly. I'll just spray adhesion promoter on most of this, and only worry too much about the outer part you can see and any part that contacts the seal, especially up here, like I was saying, and down this way. But I'll be sanding that, and the next thing will be me hanging it on the rack and jamming it. Okay, I've got it ready to spray. I'm gonna get I've got this edge rolled back here just so that I've got where I'm stopping the paint's going to be further in than the window belt molding, so when I come back and paint the outside, I can overlap what I've done here and hide that seam. I could paint the whole door, hang it up and paint the whole door at one time, and actually just leave the outside and base coat and come back and just scuff that when I put it on the car and blend it, but I don't want to risk scratching it when I install it, so I'm going to leave the outside just in E-coat. I've got this all scuffed. I tried hanging it on my panel stand. I'm doing another bumper over here with this, but I can't get enough standoff from the panel stand to be able to get inside like I really want to, and plus the doors, since I need to get all the way to the top, it's way up too high, so I'm just going to do this area here first. That way when I flip it over, I'll flip it over and turn it 90 degrees. That way it'll sit parallel to the rack, and I'll have the rack contact points distributed along the length, so I won't worry about denting it. I don't have to worry about that. And this won't touch, so when I spray this, flip it over, this will just be hanging off the rack. It won't touch anything. The contact points will be on the door. So what I'm going to do is get this sprayed with adhesion promoter, flip it over, spray the inside with adhesion promoter, and these contact points in here aren't ever going to be seen anyway. So if it touches that, it won't be a big deal. Flip it back over, I'll base coat this, let it dry for a few minutes, flip it over, base coat the inside. Same thing, flip it back over, put a little clear out here. If I can clear it with it flipped over, I'll do that, but I don't know if I'll be able to get to it. And once I clear this, I can flip it over if I'm going to do that, and clear the inside, and I can just let it sit there. So I'm going to go ahead and get this sprayed down with adhesion promoter. I've already wiped it down with wax and grease remover, so I'll spray this, flip it over, spray the inside, let it sit for about 10 or 15 minutes. I'm just going to continue on around, and then I'll be back for the base coat. I'm not going to seal this. I'm gonna give that's a pretty heavy coat. I'm gonna give it about 5 or 10 minutes to flash off before I flip it over. And this is actually a leftover Honda gray that's almost identical, so I'm gonna get rid of that first. I'm trying to get by with what paint I've got. It's just about there. I'm going to thin what I've got just a little bit to stretch it, so I don't have to go mix up any of the actual color. All right, here it is, clear coated. It's just one good coat of clear. I went ahead and just cleared it with it laid over like this on both sides, just to keep from having to handle it. More times you pick it up and handle it, more times you have more opportunities you have to drop it. I've got this cleared in here. Maybe a little hard to tell, but that's cleared inside there. It's gonna have some black tape on it anyway, so it's gonna get covered up. We get this thing on the car. I'll probably go ahead and put the latch and maybe the glass and all in it, just so that it's, or once I get it on the car, put at least the latch in so it'll hold it closed, and maybe the glass just give me something to tape up against. See you then.